Contents. Chapter 5. Lesson. Short fiction. A Visit of Charity by Eudora Welty. Pronunciation. Plosive. Grammar. Non-finite verbs. Vocabulary. Simile and metaphor. Spelling. Use of IE and EI. Punctuation. Semicolon. Conversation. Asking for information. Reading passage. Hyderabad. Writing. Note making. Soft skills. Time management. Value orientation. Time and tide wait for no one. Lesson. Short fiction. A Visit of Charity by Eudora Welty. E-U-D-O-R-A. Eudora. W-E-L-T-Y. Welty. Pre-reading questions. Have you ever tried to help someone in need? Why or why not? Describe your relationship with your grandparents. Have you ever visited a home for the aged? If you have, how did you feel when you interacted with the elderly people there? Glossary. Acquaintance. A-C-Q-U-A-I-N-T-A-N-C-E. Acquaintance. Meaning, someone you have met a few times but do not know well. A-W-R-Y. Awry. Meaning, abnormal or something that is unexpected or unusual. B-L-E-A-T. Bleat. Meaning, the weak cry that a sheep or goat makes. C-A-M-E-O-P-I-N. Cameo pin. Meaning, a type of decorative ornament or brooch that contains a carving. Close cut hair. In this context, it means a hairstyle where hair length is quite short. C-L-U-T-C-H. Clutch. Meaning, to hold something tightly. C-O-U-N-T-E-R-P-A-N-E. Counterpane. Meaning, a bed sheet. C-R-O-W. Crow. In this context, it means to laugh or croak in a proud way or to gloat over someone else's misfortune. D-A-M-P. Damp. Meaning slightly wet. Double rap. In this context, it means to knock on the door twice in quick succession. E-N-O-R-M-O-U-S. Enormous. Meaning that which is very large in size or quantity. F-O-G-G-I-N-E-S-S. Fogginess. In this context, it means unclear or confused. I-M-P-E-R-I-A-L. Imperial. Meaning in an arrogant or dominating way. L-I-N-O-L-E-U-M. Linoleum. Meaning a type of floor covering used to make the floor harder and shinier. M-I-T-T-E-N. Mitten. A type of glove worn in winter and used to keep your hands very warm. Outskirts. Meaning the outer parts of a city or town. P-E-T-U-N-I-A. Petunia. A flower with white, purple or red leaves. P-O-T-T-E-D. Potted. meaning grown in a flower pot. Propel, propel, meaning to push someone or something forwards. Retrieve, retrieve, meaning to bring or get something back from somewhere. Rigmarole, rigmarole, meaning a long, rambling story. Shrug, shrug, meaning a gesture in which you raise your shoulders slightly and drop them. This is used to express doubt, ignorance, or indifference. Spitefully, spitefully, meaning to act or speak in a manner cruel to others. Tongue-tied, meaning too shy or embarrassed or scared to speak. Vague, vague, meaning unclear or uncertain. Whimper, whimper, meaning cry weakly or softly. Whitewashed, meaning that which has been painted white using a solution of lime and water. Wicker, wicker, meaning twigs that are flexible and woven together to make furniture or baskets. Nickel, nickel, meaning 5 cents. Cents, currency, 5 cents. Menacing, menacing voice, meaning threatening voice. Prickly, prickly, meaning thorny. Throny, mullu unna, kantonka. Ailing, ailing, meaning in poor health. Claw, claw, meaning a curved pointed horny nail on each digit of the foot in birds, lizards and some mammals. Cineraria, cineraria, meaning a bunch of bright flowers or cultivated as winter flowering pot plant. About the author and about the lesson.
Eudora Welty was an American short story writer. Her literary career took off with the publication story Death of a Traveling Salesman in a literary magazine. She was a prolific author and wrote stories in multiple genres. Her stories often portray relationships between individuals and their communities. Welty won numerous awards for her work, including the Pulitzer Prize in 1973 for her novel The Optimist's Daughter. A Visit of Charity tells the story of 14-year-old Marian and her visit to an old lady's home. Marian is in a youth development organization in America called Campfire, and one of her duties, which will earn her extra points, is to visit a home for the elderly. During her visit, she reluctantly spends time with two elderly ailing women and discovers they live in cold, uncomfortable rooms and suffer from extreme loneliness. Marian panics at the sight of their grief and instead of consoling them, flees. The story portrays how the meaning of charity has changed from caring for and trying to help others to trying to earn points or keeping up appearances. It makes readers contemplate the motives people have for performing performing acts of charity, as even the nurse, who is expected to be compassionate, is indifferent to the elderly women's suffering.
The lesson. It was mid-morning, a very cold, bright day. Holding a potted plant before her, a girl of 14 jumped off the bus in front of the old lady's home on the outskirts of town. She wore a red coat and her straight yellow hair was hanging down loose from the pointed white cap all the little girls were wearing that year. She stopped beside one of the prickly dark shrubs with which the city had beautified the old age home, and then proceeded slowly towards the building, which was of whitewashed brick and reflected the winter sunlight like a brick of ice. As she walked vaguely up the steps, she shifted the small pot from hand to hand, and then she had to set it down to remove her mittens before she could open the heavy door. "Hello, I am a campfire girl. I have a pay to visit to some old lady," she told the nurse at the desk. The nurse was a woman in a white uniform who looked as if she were cold. She had close-cut hair which stood up on the very top of her head exactly like a sea wave. Marian, the little girl, did not tell the nurse that the visit would give her a minimum of 3 points to her score. "Acquainted with any of our residents?" asked the nurse. The nurse lifted one eyebrow and spoke like a man. "With any old ladies? No, but that is, any of them will do," Marian stammered. With her free hand, she pushed her hair behind her ears, as she did when it was time to study the subject science. The nurse shrugged and rose. "You have a nice multiflora cineraria there," the nurse remarked as she walked ahead down the hall of closed doors to pick out an old lady. There was loose, bulging linoleum on the floor. Marian felt as if she were walking on the wave, but the nurse paid no attention to it. There was a smell in the hall like the interior of a clock. Everything was silent until, behind one of the doors, an old lady of some kind cleared her throat like a sheep bleating. This decided the nurse. She stopped on her tracks. She first extended her arm, bent her elbow, and leaned forward from her ribs, all to examine the watch strapped to her wrist. Then she gave a loud double rap on the door. Tuck, tuck. "There are 2 in each room," the nurse remarked over her shoulders. "2 what?" asked Marian without thinking. The sound like a sheep's bleating almost made Marian turn around and run back. One old woman was pulling the door open in short, gradual jerks, and when she saw the nurse, a strange smile forced her old face dangerously awry. Marian, suddenly propelled by the strong, impatient arm of the nurse, saw next the side face of another woman, even older, who was lying flat in bed with a cap on and a counterpane drawn up to her chin. "Visitor," said the nurse, and after one more shove, she was off up the hall. Marian stood tongue-tied. Both hands held the potted plant. The old woman, still with that terrible square smile stamped on her bony face, was waiting. Perhaps she said something. The other old woman in bed said nothing at all, and she did not look around. Suddenly, Marian saw a hand, quick as a bird claw, reach up in the air and picked the white cap off her head. At the same time, another claw to match drew her all the way into the room, and the next moment the door closed behind her. My, said the old lady at her side. Marian stood enclosed by a bed, a washstand, and a chair. The tiny room had altogether too much furniture. Everything smelt wet, even the bare floor. She held on to the back of the chair, which was wicker and felt soft and damp. Her heart beat more and more slowly. Her hands got colder and colder, and she could not hear whether the old women were saying anything or not. She could not see them very clearly. How dark it was! The window shade was down, and the only door was shut. Marian looked at the ceiling. It was like being caught in a robber's cave just before one was murdered. "Did you come to be our little girl for a while?" the first robber, that is, the old woman, asked. Then something was snatched from Marian's hand. The little potted plant. "Flowers!" screamed the old woman. She stood holding the pot in an undirected way. "Pretty flowers," she added. Then the old woman in bed cleared her throat and spoke. "They are not pretty," she said, still without looking around, but very distinctly. Marian suddenly pitched against the chair and sat down in it. "Pretty flowers," the first woman insisted. "Pretty, pretty." Marian wished she had the little pot back for just a moment. She had forgotten to look at the plant herself before giving it away. What did it look like? "Stinkweeds," said the other old woman sharply. She had a bunchily white forehead and red eyes like a sheep. Now she turned her sheep-like eyes toward Marian. The fogginess seemed to rise in her throat again, and she bleated, "Who are you?" To her surprise, Marian could not remember her name. I'm a campfire girl," she said finally. "One came out last month to see us," said the first old woman. "Did not?" cried the other old woman. "Did so. Read to us out of the Bible, and we enjoyed it," screamed the other. "Who enjoyed it?" said the woman in bed. Her mouth was unexpectedly small and sorrowful like a pet's. "We enjoyed it," insisted the other. "You enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it." "Did so. Read to us out of the Bible, and we enjoyed it," screamed the first woman. "Who enjoyed it?" said the woman in bed. Her mouth was unexpectedly small and sorrowful, just like a pet's. "We enjoyed it," insisted the other. "You enjoyed it? I enjoyed it." "We all enjoyed it," said Marian, without realizing that she had said a word. The first old woman had just finished putting the potted plant high, high up on top of the wardrobe, where it could hardly be seen from below. Marian wondered how she had even succeeded in placing it there, how she could ever have reached so high. "You must not pay any attention to old Eddie," said the first old woman to the little girl. "She is ailing today." "Will you shut your mouth?" said the woman in bed. "I am not ailing." "Oh, I cannot stay but a minute. Really, I can't," said Maria suddenly. She looked down at the wet floor and thought that if she were sick in here, they would have to let her go. With much to do, the first old woman sat down in a rocking chair, still another piece of furniture, and began to rock, chun, chun, chun. With the fingers of one hand, she touched a very dirty cameo pin on her chest. "What do you do at school?" she asked. I do not know, said Marian. She tried to think, but she could not. "Oh, but the flowers were beautiful," the old woman whispered. She seemed to rock faster and faster. Marian did not see how anyone could rock so fast. "No, the flowers are ugly, ugly," said the woman in bed. "If we bring flowers," Marian began, but then fell silent. She had almost said that if campfire girls brought flowers to the old lady's home, the visit would count 1 extra point. And if they took a Bible with them on the bus and read it out to these old ladies, it counted double. But the old woman had not listened anyway. She was rocking and watching at the other one, who watched back from the bed. "Poor Addie is ailing. She has to take medicine. See?" she said, pointing a horny finger at a row of bottles on the table and rocking so high that her black comfort shoes lifted off the floor like a little child's. "I am no more sick than you are," said the woman in bed. "Oh yes, you are," said the first old lady. "I just got more sense than you have, that is all," said the other old woman, nodding her head. That's the only contrary way she talks when you all come," said the first old lady with sudden intimacy with Marian. She stopped the rocker with a neat pat of her feet and leaned toward Marian. Her hand reached over, and it felt like a petulian leaf clinging and just like little sticky. "Will you hush? Will you hush?" cried the other one from the bed. Maria leaned back rightly in her chair. "When I was a little girl like you, I went to school and all," said the old lady with the same intimate, menacing voice to Maria. "Not here, another town." "Hush!" said the sick woman. "You never went to school. You never came and you never went. You never were anything, only here. You never were born. You do not know anything. Your heart is empty, your heart and your hands and your old black purse are all empty. You showed it to me. And yet you talk all time until I think I'm losing my mind. Who are you? You are a stranger, a perfect stranger. Don't you know you're a stranger? It is possible that they have actually done a thing like this to anyone. Send them in a stranger to talk and rock and tell all her whole long rigmarole. Do they seriously suppose that I'll be able to keep it up day in, day out, night in and night out, living in the same room with a terrible old woman forever?" Maria saw the old woman's eyes grow bright and turned toward her. This old woman was looking at Marian with despair and calculation in her face. Her small lips suddenly dropped apart and exposed a half circle of false teeth with tan gums. "Come here, I want to tell you something," she whispered. "Come here." Marian was trembling and her heart nearly stopped beating for a moment. Now, Addie," said the first old woman, "that's not polite. Do you know what really the matter with old Addie today?" "The matter?" the child repeated stupidly. "What's the matter with her?" "Why, she's mad because it is her birthday," said the first old woman, beginning a rock again and giving a little crow as though she had answered her own riddle. It's not, screamed the old woman in bed. "It is not my birthday. No one knows when that is but myself. And will you please be quiet and say nothing more, or I will go straight out of my mind." She turned her eyes toward Marian again, and presently she said in the soft, foggy voice, "When the worst comes to the worst, I ring this bell, and the nurse comes." One of her hands was drawn out from under the patched counterpane, a thin little hand with enormous black freckles. With a finger which would not hold still, she pointed to a little bell on the table among the bottles. "How old are you?" Marian breathed. Now she could see the old woman in bed very closely and plainly, and very abruptly from all sides, as in dreams. She wondered about her. She wondered for a moment as though there was nothing else in the world to wonder about. It was the first time such thing had happened to Marian. "I won't tell my age." The old face on the pillow where Marian was bending over it slowly gathered and collapsed. Soft whimpers came out of the small open mouth. It was a sheep that she sounded like, a little lamb. Marian's face drew very close. The yellow hair hung forward. "She is crying." She turned a bright, burning face up to the first old woman. "That's Addie for you," said the old woman spitefully. Marian jumped up and moved toward the door. For the second time, the claw almost touched her hair, but it was not quick enough. The little girl put her cap on. "Wait, it was a real visit," said the old woman, following Marian through the doorway and all the way out into the hall. Then, from behind, she suddenly clutched the child with her sharp little fingers. "Oh, little girl, have you a penny to spare for an old woman that's not got anything of her own? We do not have thing in the world, not a penny for charity, not a thing. Little girl, just a nickel, a penny, please." Marian pulled violently against the old hands for a moment before she was free. Then she ran down the hall without looking behind her and without looking at the nurse, who was reading Field and Stream at her desk. The nurse, after another triple motion to consult the visit watch, asked automatically the question put to visitors in all institutions: "Won't you stay and have dinner with us?" Marian never replied. She pushed the heavy door open into the cold air and ran down the steps. Under the prickly shrub, she stopped and quickly, without being seen, retrieved a red apple she had hidden there. Her yellow hair under the white cap, her scarlet coat, her bare knees flashed in the sunlight as she ran to meet the big bus rocking through the street. "Wait, wait for me, wait for me," she shouted. As though at an imperial command, the bus ground to a stop. She jumped on and took a big bite out of the apple. Summary: A Visit of Charity is a short story about a 14-year-old girl, Marian, who visits two old women in a nursing home. The purpose of her visit is to earn a 3-point for her score in as Campfire Girl. By bringing a potted plant to the nursing home, she can earn an extra 1 point, or a double point is counted if she brings a Bible and reads it to the old ladies there. Marian brings with her a potted plant. In the nursing home, she is so shocked by the interior environs and two irritable and ill-tempered old ladies. During her brief stay, she is peculiar and her mind cannot function properly. She loses the abilities to think, see, speak. The story takes place on a very cold winter day at a nursing home where the building is described as whitewashed brick and reflected the winter sunlight like a brick of ice, and is beautified by prickly dark shrub. These images and scenes imply the absence of affection and warmth from a society towards forsaken elderly people in the nursing home. Marian is the main character, the protagonist of the story. She is a self-centered person. She is concerned about the progress of her Campfire Girl points more than anything. Her visit is clearly insincere when she tells the nurse at the desk, "I am a Campfire Girl. I have to pay a visit to some old ladies." When the nurse asks if she is acquainted with any person there, she answers, "No, but that is, any of them will do." The potted plant is more evidence that shows Maria's selfishness. Instead of bringing fruits or other more practical and sincere presents, Maria chooses to bring a potted plant that can earn her one extra point. However, compared to the previous campfire girl who has brought a Bible during her visit, Maria is considered to have a little self-awareness, for she does not choose to bring a Bible that can earn more extra points for her. The author sarcastically suggests that people who use Bibles as the tools for self-gaining are indeed those who are overly preoccupied with their own benefits. Their actions fly in the face of sanctification. Maria, however, has dehumanized the two old women unconsciously too. She associates the sound of an old lady to a sheep's bleating and the hand of another old lady to a bird's claw. When entering the tiny dark room, she is frightened by her own creative imagination, where she is being caught in a robber's cave. The author's description of Marian's reactions also show the disrespect of teenagers or society toward elderly generation. Through this story, the author dramatizes the isolation life in the nursing home. In the mid-morning, the hall is quiet and the doors are closed. This suggests that most of the residents are staying in their tiny rooms with their roommates only. Too much furniture in the room indicates that the ladies spend plenty of time in the room and they do not socialize with other residents in the public area in the nursing home. Therefore, it is not surprising that the two old women always argue with each other. Perhaps arguing is one of the few things, if it is not the only thing, they can do in a day. Also, if they are not socialized, why does Addie feel miserable on her birthday, and why does nobody help to celebrate Addie's birthday? After listening to Addie's dissatisfaction about her roommate and knowing that that day was Addie's birthday, Marian seems to have experienced a sense of realization. She begins to realize something about the old ladies. For the first time, she asks a question that refers to Addie, not to a sheep. "How old are you?" Although Addie refuses to answer the question, she indeed feels warm, and so she cries. Needless to say, it must have been a long time since anyone was concerned about Addie's existence and her age. Maria's simple question means a lot to poor Adia. Unfortunately, Maria's realization lives short. When the other old woman begs for a penny, Maria moves away insensibly and untouched. Finally, a red apple appears at the end of the story. It is traditionally a symbol of love or knowledge. Marian retrieves a red apple from a tree, implying the ignition of love from the bottom of her heart towards elderly people, which she doesn't blurt or show. Or it can also imply the knowledge she has gained from her visit to the nursing home about the suffering of those elderly women. Altogether, a visit of charity is a story that has a moral message to the readers. The author conveys through the story the inhuman treatment in nursing homes. The nursing home lacks facilities for elderly people. The condition of the room is comparable to a jail, small, wet, dark, and closed door. The nurse acts more like a jail guard than a compassionate caretaker. The author portrays Marian as an individual person or as a whole society that is insensitive to the welfare of elderly people. People in society was used to living in their own comfort zones and neglect the inferior lives of unfortunate people. The story uses campfire girls who pay visits to the nursing home for self-benefits as a mirror of the selfishness and dehumanization of society in reality. The realization of Marian in the story is actually a symbolic of readers' awareness of human difficulties. Pronunciation. Plosives. You may recall from lesson 1 that English has 24 consonant sounds. Consonants are hallulu or vyanjan. These consonant sounds can be classified into different ways. The 24 consonant sounds are p, b, t, d, k, g, f, v, th, th, s, z, sh, j, h, ch, j, m, n, g, l, r, w, j. These 24 consonant sounds can be classified as plosives, fricatives, affricatives, nasals, and approximant sounds. One of the ways of categorizing consonant sounds is according to their manner of articulation, that is, how they are produced. In this lesson, we will learn about a category of consonant sounds known as plosives. Plosive sounds are produced when the flow of air is briefly stopped and then released suddenly. There are 6 plosive sounds in English. They are p, b, t, d, k, and g. The sounds p and b are produced when 2 lips are tightened and the air is blocked for some time. P, b. The other 2 sounds t and d are produced when the tip of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth and air is blocked there for a while. T, d. The next 2 plosive sounds, k and g, they are produced from the throat. The air is blocked in vocal cords at glottis for some time and then released. K and g. A consonant sound can occur at the beginning of a word, that is, in the initial position, or at the end of the word, that is, in the final position, or anywhere between the first and the last sound of a word, that is, in a medieval position. Listen to the examples of words in which plosive sounds occur in the initial, medieval, and final positions. Try to give two more examples for each position in which these plosive sounds occur. The first plosive sound is P. When P sound occurs in the initial position of a word, we have words like peel, P-E-E-L, police, P-O-L-I-C-E, petrol, P-E-T-R-O-L, plant, P-L-A-N-T, etc. When the plosive sound P occurs in the medieval position of a word, we have words such as appoint, A-P-P-O-I-N-T, report, R-E-P-O-R-T, appear, A-P-P-A-R-E, aeroplane, appease, etc. When the sound P occurs in the final position of a word, we have words such as ship, S-H-I-P, slip, S-L-I-P, map, M-A-P, damp, D-A-M-P, etc. Now let us learn about the sound B. When the plosive sound B occurs in the initial position of a word, we have words such as blow, button, bed, below, buffalo, butter, etc. When the plosive sound B occurs in the medieval position of a word, we have words such as ribbon, problem, ramble, rainbow, etc. When the sound B occurs in the final position of a word, we have words such as crab, rib, curb, cab, etc. Let us now learn about the plosive sound T. When the plosive sound T occurs in the first position of a word, we have words such as tree, temple, three, thread, treat, tap, etc. When the plosive sound T occurs in the medieval position of a word, we have words such as kitten, attempt, poster, plastic, etc. When the plosive sound T occurs in the final position of a word, we have words such as goat, tempt, pot, attempt, treat, etc. Let us now learn about the sound D. When the plosive sound D occurs in the initial position of a word, we have words such as develop, doctor, dark, den, do, etc. When the plosive sound D occurs in the medieval position of a word, we have words as examples such as wooden, random, window, widow, etc. When the plosive sound D occurs in the final position of a word, example words are held, dead, pond, etc. When the plosive sound K occurs in the initial position of a word, we have words such as complaint, kettle, kite, cat, camel, etc. When the plosive sound k occurs in the middle of a word, we have words such as doctor, discount, discover, discard, etc. When the plosive sound k occurs in the final position of a word, we have words such as technique, panic, picnic, etc. Now let us learn about the plosive sound g. When the plosive sound g occurs in the initial position of a word, we have words such as glass, grace, glamour, etc. When the plosive sound g occurs in the medieval position of a word, we have words such as degree, jungle, begin, etc. When the plosive sound g occurs in the final position of a word, we have words such as bang, frog. Please note that the letter B is silent when it comes after the letter M at the end of a word. Some of the examples of this kind are C-O-M-B. It is pronounced as comb but not comb. T-O-M-B is pronounced as tomb but not tomb. Sometimes the letter B is silent when it occurs in the middle of a word too. Example, D-E-B-T is sounded as debt but not debt. B is silent here. Let us now learn about minimal pairs. A minimal pair consists of two words which are identical except for a single sound at a particular position in a word. This sound can be either a vowel sound or a consonant sound. Listen to these examples. Examples of minimal pairs include PIN, pin, and BIN, bin. In the two words pin and bin, I and N are the common sounds. But in the first word, we had P in the initial position that changed to B in the second word. PIN, pin, became BIN, bin. This is a minimal pair. In a minimal pair, you should have two words identical to each other, but only one sound should differ from the first word to the second word. Only one sound should differ. Listen to this second example. H-U-T, hut, and H-A-T, hat. In this pair, the H and T sounds are common, but the vowels in between have changed. H-U-T, ha, ha. U is sounding as a, hut. But when we made it H-A-T, we had a, hat. So this is called minimal pair. H sound, T sound were common, but in this case, the vowel sound changed. The consonant sounds H and T are in common between the two words. Example 3 of minimal pair include A-L-I-V-E, alive, and A-R-R-I-V-E, arrive. alive, arrive. In this case, the A sound in the first position is common between the two words, and ive sound at the end of the word is common. What changed in between? Yes, in the first word we had the letter L, the sound L, alive, which became R in arrive. So this is the best example for minimal pair. In a minimal pair, we have two words. Two words should have the same pronunciation, but with the difference of one sound in each. That sound can be a vowel sound or a consonant sound. Listen to some more examples of minimal pairs of these plosive sounds and try to make 3 more such minimal pairs of each sound. Listen carefully further. Let us consider the two plosive sounds P and B to make minimal pairs. Here are some words. P-I-T, pit, became B-I-T, bit. It is common. P changed from B. This is called a minimal pair. Second example of P and B interchange is P-A-I-R, pair, B-E-A-R, bear. Pair, bear. Only P sound changed to B sound. A sound remained the same in both the words. Let us now make 3 more such words. Alright? First word, prick, brick. Prick to brick. P-R-I-C-K, prick. And B-R-I-C-K, brick. Rick sound is common. What changed between the two is the plosives P to B. Second word, P-A-T-H, path, and B-A-T-H, bath. Path, bath. The AF sound is common between the two words, but there is a change in P sound to B sound. Third word, P-O-N-D, pond, and B-O-N-D, bond. Pond, bond. The ond sound is common between the two words, but there is a change in P sound to B sound. Let us now learn about minimal pairs using the two plosives T and D. First word, train and drain. Train and drain. Rain sound is common between the two words, but there is a change in the first sound T in train, D in drain. The rest is the same. So this is called a minimal pair. Second word, T-E-A-R, tear, and D-A-R-E, dare. Tear, dare. The air sound is the same, but there is only one change in the two words, that is T became D. Word 3, T-I-E, tie, and D-I-E, die. Tie, die. The I sound is common, but there is only one change, that is the consonant sounds T became D. That's it. Word 4, T-O-U-C-H, touch, and D-U-T-C-H, Dutch. Touch, Dutch. Touch, Dutch. The ach sound is common between the two words, but there is only one variance. In touch, you have the sound t in the initial position. In Dutch, you have the sound d in the initial position. This is a minimal pair. Word 5. T-E-N, ten, and D-E-N, den. Ten, den. The N sound is common, but there is a change in t to d. Ten, den. Have you understood the concept of minimal pairs? Right? Very good. Now let us learn about the last two plosive sounds, k and g. How do we frame minimal pairs using these two sounds, k and g? Right. Examples. Word 1, C-O-T, cot, and G-O-T, got. Cot, got. The ot sound is the same, but k sound in the first word became g in the second word. So there is only one sound change in two words. Word 2, C-O-M-E, come, and G-U-M, gum. Come, gum. So the sound is the same between the two words. There is only change in k to g. Word 3, C-R-A-B, crab, and G-R-A-B, grab. Crab, grab. Rab is the common sound. K and g changed. Crab and grab. Word 4, C-R-A-P-E, crepe, and G-R-A-P-E, grape. Crepe, grape. The rape sound is the same, but k and g sounds are changing. Crepe, grape. Word 5, C-L-A-S-S, class, and G-L-A-S-S, glass. Class, glass. The las sound is common between the two words, but k sound in the first word changed to g in the second word, class and glass. So this is all about plosives and how to frame minimal pairs using the 6 plosives. Grammar. Non-finite verbs. Before we understand the concept of non-finite verbs, let us have a quick recapitulation of what we have learned in the first semester. We have learned that a verb has 4 forms: present form, present participle form, past form, and past participle form. Example: eat, eating, ate, eaten, swim, swimming, swam, swum, etc. Besides the action verbs, we have learnt auxiliary verbs. They are be forms, is, am, are, was, were, be, been, being. Do forms, do, does, did. And have forms, have, has, had. We have also learnt modal verbs. There are 13 modal verbs in English language. They are can, could, shall, should, may, might, will, would, ought to, dare, need to, must, and have to. In the present chapter, we will learn about non-finite verbs. A verb is a word used to describe an action. Example: jog, eat, write, complete, play, etc. We shall learn in this unit that verbs can be finite verbs or non-finite verbs. A finite verb is a verb that has a subject in the sentence. Example, he jogs home. In this sentence, the pronoun he becomes the subject, karta, and the word jogs describes what the subject does, so it becomes the action, verb. A finite verb is affected by tense. Let us now observe the conjugations of the verb jog. Jog, jogging, jogged, jogged. A finite verb gets affected with the change in the tense and with the change in the person, whether the subject belongs to first person, second person, or third person, and the number of the subject as singular or plural. Example, take the verb jog. I jog, we jog, you jog, they jog, but he jogs, Rita jogs, etc. So, the change in the tense, the change in the person, the change in the number will bring a change on a finite verb, wherein a non-finite verb, on the other hand, is not affected by tense, person, or number. There are three types of non-finite verbs. They are infinitives, gerunds, and participles. Let us now learn about infinitives. Infinitivs. Infinitives are the most basic forms of a verb, often preceded by the word to. They may function as adverbs, nouns, or adjectives, but never as verbs. Listen to the following example carefully. Example, I go to school to study. In this sentence, we have two verbs. Go is verb number 1, study is verb number 2. Now listen carefully. With the change in the tense, there should be a change in both the verbs. Observe if both the verbs are undergoing any change with the change in the tense or not. To begin with, simple present tense. I go to school to study. Present continuous tense. I am going to school to study. Present perfect tense. I have gone to school to study. Present perfect continuous tense. I have been going to school to study. Simple past tense. I went to school to study. Past continuous tense. I was going to school to study. Past perfect tense. I had gone to school to study. Past perfect continuous tense. I had been going to school to study. Simple future tense. I will go to school to study. Future continuous tense. I will be going to school to study. Future perfect tense. I will have gone to school to study. Future perfect continuous tense. I will have been going to school to study. Of the 12 tense forms, with the change in the tense, the verb go underwent changes such as go, am going, was going, have gone, had gone, have been going, will be going, etc. But The second verb, study, did not change in any respect. It is because the verb study is preceded by TO2. Listen carefully. I go to school to study. Therefore, when a verb is preceded by the particle TO2, such a verb loses its function as an action verb and rather is called a non-finite verb, which is called as infinitives. Infinitive. When a verb is preceded by TO2, it does not undergo any change with respect to tense, person and number, and so is called a non-finite verb, which is infinitive. Dear students, please don't get confused between TO2 acting as a preposition, TO2 acting as a particle. In the previous example, I go to school to study, we have two TO2s. The first TO2 occurred before a noun. I go to school. That too is a preposition because preposition shows the relation between one word to the other word in a sentence. నేను ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తాను? I go to school. मैं स्कूल को जाऊंगा. So TO2, which occurred before a noun, is actually a preposition. The other TO2 occurred before a verb, and so it is called a particle but not a preposition. And it is together TO2 plus study called as infinitive. I go to school to study. Therefore, when a verb is preceded by TO2, that TO2 is not a preposition but a particle, and that is called as a non-finite verb, or in particular it is called an infinitive. Is it clear? Yes, I hope it is. Right. Listen to some more examples now. 1. I struggled to understand. I struggled to understand. In this sentence, struggle is the verb, understand is also a verb. But since the word understand is preceded by TO2, it becomes an infinitive. I struggle to understand. I struggle to understand. I am struggling to understand. I have struggled to understand, etc. So the change in the tense has a change on the word struggle, but not on the word of the verb understand. Therefore, struggle is the finite verb and to understand is the non-finite verb, which is infinitive. Example 2. To exercise is good for the body. Here, to exercise is the non-finite infinitive verb. Is the finite verb because is can change as was with the change in the tense. Example 3. I do not have time to enjoy. I do not have time to enjoy. I did not have time to enjoy. I am having no time to enjoy, etc. So, the change in the tense has a change on the verb do. Therefore, do becomes the finite verb and to enjoy becomes the non-finite infinitive verb. The second variety of a non-finite verb is gerund. G-E-R-U-N-D. A gerund is a verb ending in ing, which functions as a noun but not as a verb anymore. Now, we know that a verb's present participle form is ing form, as in eat, eating, ate, eaten, write, writing, wrote, written, sing, singing, sang, sung. Yes, usually when a verb has ing ending, it is expected to be a continuous form of a verb. But gerund is a verb ending in ing, but not acting as a verb, but acting as a noun. Now, how do we identify whether a verb ending in ing is a verb or a noun? Right. Remember, when a word answers the questions who, whom, whose, which, and what, such a word is almost a noun or a pronoun. Say, for example, in the previous example of an infinitive, let us take to exercise is good for the body. To exercise is good for the body. In this example, let us make this sentence as a question and ask, what is good for the body? What is good for the body? The answer is to exercise. So that to exercise should be a noun. In the same way, examples for gerunds are 1. I love swimming. I love what? Or what do I love? I love swimming. So, basically, swimming is the present participle form of the verb swim. But here, love is the main verb. I love. Love is the main verb, finite verb. Swimming is the non-finite verb as it is the verb ending in ing but acting as a noun, and so it is called a gerund of non-finite verb. I love what? I love swimming. Love is the finite verb. I love, I loved, I am loving, I had loved, etc. So love takes the tense change. Love takes the person change. I love swimming. Sita loves swimming. So the word swimming is remaining constant irrespective of the tense, irrespective of the person, irrespective of the number. But the verb love is changing. So I love swimming. I love what? So love is the finite verb. Swimming is the non-finite gerund. Example 2. Traveling is my favorite hobby. What is my favorite hobby? Naku edi istamu? Traveling. Here traveling is not a verb, but it is a noun. And so, where is the main verb? Is the finite verb. Traveling is my favorite hobby. Traveling was my favorite hobby. Traveling has been my favorite hobby for a long time, etc. So the change in the tense is on is. But the word traveling is remaining the same. Traveling is my favorite hobby. So traveling is the gerund non-finite verb and is the finite verb. Example 3. Are you interested in singing? Are you interested in singing? Are you interested in what? Singing. So, are is the finite verb. Are you interested in? Singing is the non-finite gerund. Singing, the verb ends in ing but acts like a noun. The last variety of a non-finite verb is participle. Participle. A participle is a verb ending in ed or en or ing and is used as an adjective or an adverb but not as a verb any longer. యూజువల్గా ఒక వర్డ్ ఈడీతో ఎండ్ అయ్యేది సహజంగా వర్బ్స్ ఉంటాయి లైక్ ప్లేడ్ కంప్లీటెడ్ ఎట్సెట్రా. ఈ ఎన్తో ఎండ్ అయ్యేవి పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపల్ ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ వర్బ్స్ ఉంటాయి. వావెన్, డ్రాన్, ప్రూవెన్ ఎట్సెట్రా. కానీ పార్టిసిపుల్ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఏంటంటే వెన్ ఎ వర్బ్ ఎన్స్ ఇన్ ఈడి అంటే పాస్ట్ ఫామ్, ఈఎన్ పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపుల్ ఫామ్ అండ్ ఐఎన్జి కంటిన్యూస్ ఫామ్, ఈ మూడు they don't act like a verb any longer but they act either as adverbs or adjectives anta. Let us learn through examples. Okay, example 1, listen carefully. The movie was interesting. So to identify the parts of speech of the word interesting, we need to change the sentence into a question. Let us make it as, how was the movie? How was the movie? Movie ఎలా ఉంది అంటే మూవీ నౌన్. How is the noun? It was interesting. So interesting is describing the quality of the noun movie. So this interesting becomes adjective. The movie was how it was interesting. See, verb ending in ing became a noun and so it was called a gerund. Now verb ending in ing, interest plus ing, interesting, acting like an adjective. So this is called a participle. The movie was interesting. We know that an adjective is a word which talks about the quantity and quality of a noun or a pronoun. So here interesting it is talking about the quality of the movie. How was it? It was interesting. So in this sentence, was is the finite verb, interesting is the non-finite participle. Example 2. Eating freshly picked fruits is good for health. Eating freshly picked fruits is good for health. Picked, P-I-C-K-E-D, picked. Picked is actually the past participle of the word pick. Pick, picking, picked, picked. But here it is talking about the fruit. ఎలాంటి ఫ్రూట్? ఫ్రెష్లీ పిక్డ్, అప్పుడే కోసిన ఫ్రూట్. जब पेड़ से तभी उसको निकाले तो पिक्ड, అప్పుడే కోసిన ఫ్రూట్ తింటే హెల్త్కి మంచిది. సో eating freshly picked fruits is good for health. In this sentence, picked is the non-finite participle because it is acting like an adjective though ending in ed, and is the main finite verb. And also, what is good for health? Eating freshly picked fruits. Eating, ikkad eating annadi it's a gerund because it is answering the question what. Example 3. Ladakh is fascinating. Fascinating. How is Ladakh? Ladakh is fascinating. Ladakh ఎలా ఉంది? Noun. How is the noun? It is fascinating. So fascinating is an adjective. So when a verb ends in ing becomes like an adjective, it is called a participle. Good. We are all excited to be going there. We are all excited to be going there. How are we? మేము ఎలా ఉన్నాము? हम कैसे हैं? Excited है. Excited, though it's a verb ending in ed, it is becoming an adjective here because it is describing the quality of we. हम कैसे हैं? Excited है. మేము ఎలా ఉన్నాము? It's talking about the pronoun we. Excited. So excited is an adjective. Therefore, when a verb ends in ed, en, and ing and functions as adjectives or adverbs but not like verbs anymore, such verbs are called participles. In short, verb antene action చూపించేది, but verb can be of two types: finite verb, non-finite verb. Finite verb ante when there is a change in the tense form, when there is a change in first person, second person, third person subjects, when there is a change in the number from singular to plural, there should be an effect on the finite verb. Non-finite verb, on the other hand, doesn't take any change with the change in the tense, person or number. Non-finite verbs are of three types. Infinitives. Infinitives are words when TO2 is preceded by the verb. Next, gerund. Gerund is a word ending in ing but acting as a noun. And how to identify a noun? Noun mostly answers the questions who, whom, whose, which and what. And finally we have participle. Verbs ending in ed, that is past form, en, that is past participle form, and ing, that is continuous form, functioning as adjectives and adverbs but not as verbs anymore. Those are called participles. Are you ready for an exercise? Great. Exercise. Identify the non-finite verbs, if any, in each of the sentences. 1. He gave me a pen to write with. The answer is gave is the finite verb, to write is the non-finite verb infinitive. 2. It was a toy to play. The answer is was is the finite verb, to play is the non-finite verb infinitive. 3. I want to buy some vegetables. The answer is want is the finite verb, to buy is the non-finite verb infinitive. 4. Barking dogs do not bite. The answer is barking is participle because it is an adjective. What kind of dogs? Barking dogs. Barking is adjective. Verb ending in ing acting as adjectives are called participles. Do is the finite verb. Barking dogs do not bite. 5. She was wearing a designer outfit. Please observe that this sentence has two verbs, was and wearing. Both are finite verbs together. This sentence is in past continuous tense. She was wearing. Now, if you remove was, the sentence sounds as she wearing a designer outfit, which is incorrect. Remove wearing and read it as she was a designer outfit. No, it's incorrect again. So, the verbs was and wearing together make finite verbs. Because देखो, she is wearing a designer outfit, she was wearing a designer outfit, she has been wearing a designer outfit, she will wear a designer outfit. So both the verbs are needed to make this sentence meaningful. Therefore, this sentence doesn't have a non-finite verb. The two verbs was and wearing together make finite verb, and this sentence is in past continuous tense. Are you clear? Right. 6. I had my car polished. I had my car polished. The answer is had is the finite verb, polished is the non-finite verb participle, because I had my car polished, I will have my car polished, I have my car polished. So the change in the tense is falling on had, whereas polished is becoming an adjective. When a verb ends in ed or en or ing and acts like adjectives or adverbs, it is called a participle form of non-finite verbs. Polished is describing the quality of the car. How is the car? It's polished. 7. Finding the door open, my mother went inside. Finding the door open is the adverb. Finding is the adverb. Went is the main finite verb. Explanation. How did the action happen? Finding the door open, my mother went inside. So finding is becoming an adverb. When a verb ends in ing and acts like an adverb or an adjective, it is called a participle. So finding is the participle, non-finite verb, and went is the finite verb. For your information, in order to identify an adverb, better you remember these 4 questions. When, where, how many times. So how did the action happen? Because an adverb talks about verb, adverb and adjective. ఒక వర్బ్ గురించి, ఒక అడ్జెక్టివ్ గురించి, ఒక యాడ్వర్బ్ గురించి ఎక్కువ చేసి చెప్పేదాన్ని యాడ్వర్బ్ అంటారు. సో ఇప్పుడు యాక్షన్ ఎలా జరిగింది? మమ్మీ ఇంట్లోకి ఎలా వెళ్ళింది? ఫైండింగ్ ద డోర్ ఓపెన్, తలుపు తీసి ఉండంగా చూసి అమ్మ లోపలికి వెళ్ళింది. సో యాక్షన్ వెంట్, వెళ్ళడం అన్నది ఎలా జరిగింది? ఫైండింగ్ ద డోర్ ఓపెన్. సో సంథింగ్ విచ్ డిస్క్రైబ్స్ ద వర్బ్ ఇస్ అన్ adverb. సో ఫైండింగ్, how did she go inside? Finding the door open, she went inside. So finding is the adverb, and we know that when a verb ends in ed or en or ing and acts like adverbs or adjectives, that should be called what type of non-finite verb? Yes, participle. Therefore, the answer is finding is the non-finite participle and went is the finite verb which has effect of tense. 8. Nithya is doing her homework at the moment. Nithya is doing her homework at the moment. The answer is doing. Both together makes finite verb. Explanation. Nithya is doing, Nithya was doing, Nithya has been doing, Nithya will be doing. So both the verbs is and doing, they both together bring a sense of tense in the sentence. So they both make finite verbs in the sentence and there is no non-finite verb in the sentence. See, Nithya is doing her homework at the moment. ఉన్న వర్బ్సే 2 ఉన్నాయి. ఈజ్ ఉంది, డూయింగ్ ఉంది, ఇంకో వర్బ్ లేదు. ఈ ఉన్న 2 వర్బ్స్ మనకి టెన్స్ చెప్పడానికి అవసరం అవుతున్నాయి. సో వాటిని ఫైనైట్ వర్బ్స్ అంటాం. जो वर्ब्स टेंस का असर लेंगे उसको फाइनाइट वर्ब बोलेंगे. इधर 2 वर्ब्स is doing, नित्या is doing, नित्या was doing, नित्या has been doing. So both the verbs हमको टेंस के लिए उपयोग है, तो इसीलिए दोनों को मिलाकर we call it as finite verbs and there is no other non-finite verb in the sentence. 9. The proposal has been examined today. The proposal has been examined today. The answer is has been examined. All together makes finite verbs. There is no non-finite verb in this sentence. Explanation. Listen to the same sentence with different tenses. The proposal was examined today. The proposal is examined today. The proposal will be examined tomorrow. So, the proposal has been examined today. So, both the verbs has, been and also the main examined all together make sense of tense in the sentence. So, all the 3 verbs has plus been plus examined together make finite verbs. There is no non-finite verb in the sentence. 10. Vardhan has finished his exams. Vardhan has finished his exams. The answer is has finished together makes finite verbs. There are no non-finite verbs in the sentence. Explanation. Vardhan is finished his exams. Vardhan has been finished his exams. Vardhan has finished his exams. Vardhan will be finishing his exams. So always has plus finished, they make sense to the sentence. So has finished is present perfect tense, and so this sentence has the finite verbs as has plus finished. No non-finite verbs exist in this sentence. Vocabulary. Simile and metaphor. S-I-M-I-L-E, simile. M-E-T-A-P-H-O-R, metaphor. A simile is a literary device used to compare two different things in an attempt to make a description more vivid or interesting. Such comparisons are made through the use of the words L-I-K-E, like, or A-S, as. Listen to some examples now. 1. His hair is as black as coal. Here, hair is compared with coal. 2. She is as brave as a lion. Here, a person is compared with a lion. 3. Her eyes sparkled like diamonds. Here, eyes are compared with diamonds. Sometimes, a simile may be used to connect an unfamiliar object or idea with something familiar. Example. Oh, how do I describe the birds in the forest? Well, their bird song sounded very much like our bell at home. అంటే ఏదో తెలియని దాని గురించి చెప్పాలి అన్నప్పుడు తెలిసిన వాటల్లోంచి దాన్ని కంపేర్ చేసి ఇదిగో ఇలానే ఉండేది అది అని చెప్పడం. Listen to a few more examples of similes. 1. The water was black as night. 2. She was as busy as a bee and had no time to talk. 3. He walks as slow as a tortoise. 4. My love is like a red rose. A metaphor is another literary device similar to a simile used in descriptive writing. Unlike a simile, which compares two different things, a metaphor equates two different things without using the words like, like, or as. Listen to some examples. 1. This city is a concrete jungle. Here, the city has been equated with a jungle. ఒకవేళ ఇదే సెంటెన్స్ని దిస్ సిటీ ఈజ్ లైక్ అ కాంక్రీట్ జంగల్, లైక్ అని పెట్టుంటే ఇది సిమిలీ అయిపోయేది, రైట్? సో వితౌట్ యూజింగ్ ద వర్డ్ లైక్, అ కంపారిజన్ హ్యాస్ బీన్ మేడ్. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ అ మెటాఫర్. 2. హర్ వర్డ్స్ వర్ పాయిజన్. డైరెక్ట్గా తన మాటలు పాయిజన్, అంతేగాని తన మాటలు పాయిజన్లా ఉన్నాయి కాదు. హర్ వర్డ్స్ వర్ లైక్ పాయిజన్. Her words were as venomous as poison. అలా అనుంటే సిమిలీ అయ్యేది. బట్ హియర్ ఇట్స్ direct. Her words were poison. So this is a metaphor. 3. All the world's a stage. Here, equating the world we live in with the idea of it being a stage on which we all perform. ఈ ప్రపంచాన్ని స్టేజ్తో కంపేర్ చేస్తామన్నమాట. ఎలా అయితే నాటకం అయ్యాక స్టేజ్ మీద ఒక్కొక్క క్యారెక్టర్ దిగిపోతారో మనుషులందరూ కూడా వాళ్ళ టైం అయిపోయాక వెళ్ళిపోతారు ఈ ప్రపంచం నుండి. సో ఆల్ ద వరల్డ్ ఈజ్ అ స్టేజ్ ఈజ్ అ మెటాఫర్. దీన్ని సిమిలీ చేయాలంటే ఆల్ ద వరల్డ్ ఈజ్ లైక్ అ స్టేజ్ అనేవాళ్ళం. లిసన్ టు అ ఫ్యూ మోర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఆఫ్ మెటాఫర్. 1. You are the light of my life. 2. How old are these computers? Oh, they are practically dinosaurs. అంటే ఈ కంప్యూటర్స్ డైనోసార్ కాలం అంతటి ఓల్డ్ అన్నట్టు. ఎల్ఐకే లైక్ ఉండుంటే ఆర్ ఏఎస్ యాస్ ఉండుంటే అది సిమిలీ అయ్యేది. బట్ ఇక్కడ డిరెక్ట్ దే ఆర్ ప్రాక్టికలీ డైనోసార్స్. సో ఇట్స్ అ మెటాఫర్. 3. They were covered in blankets of flowers. 4. Sita is the Yes Janaki of our class. 5. The wheels of justice grind slow. Exercise. Listen to the lesson A Visit of Charity again and list all the similes and metaphors that the writer has used in the text. Spelling. Use of IE and EI. A common error made by many English language learners is to misspell words which include the combination of letters IE or EI. Fortunately, there is a simple rule in the form of a rhyme which can help overcome this problem. The rhyme is I before E except after C or when they sound like A. Now, here is a list of words where the letter I occurs before the letter E. Words are believe, BELIEVE, chief, CHIEF, priest, PRIEST, friend, FRIEND, patient, PATIENT. But when the word has the letter C in it and followed by the letters I and E, then the sequence would be C, then E, then I. In this case, the letter I comes after the letter E, unlike in the previous case. Examples: ceiling, CEILING, deceit, DECEIT, receive, RECEIVE, receipt, RECEIPT. Kindly note the pronunciation of the word RECEIPT. The sound P is silent. It's just receipt, not receipt. Transceiver, TRANSCEIVER. Transceiver. It's a noun. It means a device that can both transmit and receive communications. In particular, a combined radio transmitter and receiver. There is another case in which the letter I occurs after the letter E. In this case, the letters EI sound like A, like AY. Listen to these words. Neighbor, NEIGHBOUR, neighbor. So the letter E came before the letter I. Vain, VEIN, vain. Wait, WEIGHT, slay, SLEIGHT. The word slay is a noun and it means the use of dexterity or cunning, especially so as to deceive. Beige, 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 meaning a pale, sadly fawn color. Therefore, usually the letter I occurs after E. But there are two situations in which the letter I occurs after the letter E. Situation 1, when the letter E is preceded by the letter C, CEI. Situation 2, when the combination of EI sounds like A. Unfortunately, there are exceptions to this rule and they can be remembered only by memorizing their spellings. Here are a few exceptions. Seize, SEIZE, signs, SCIENCE. See, the word signs has the letter C, but I came after it instead of E. Yes, this is an exceptional case. Being, BEING, either, EITHER, society, SOCIETY, weird, WEIRD. Exercise. Fill in the blanks to correctly spell the words. Fill the blanks with the combination IE or EI. 1. H dash dash R. The answer is EI. HEIR. Hair అంటే వంశోద్ధారకుడు. 2. P dash dash R. The answer is IE. PIER. Pier, meaning an airport terminal. 3. S dash dash ZURE. The answer is EI. SEIZURE. Seizure, meaning capture. 4. FINANC dash dash R. The answer is IE. FINANCIER. Financier. 5. MISCH dash dash VOUS. The answer is IE. MISCHIEVOUS. Mischievous. 6. ACH dash dash VE. The answer is IE. ACHIEVE. Achieve. 7. SH dash dash K. The answer is EI. SHEIK. Shake. 8. SURV dash dash LLANCE. The answer is EI. SURVEILLANCE. Surveillance, meaning watch or view. 9. COUNTERF dash dash T. The answer is EI. COUNTERFEIT. Counterfeit, meaning duplicate. 10. F dash dash NT. The answer is FEINT. Feint, meaning to punch or the punch in a fight. దెబ్బలాడుకుంటున్నప్పుడు గుద్దడం or ఆ గుద్దుని feint. FEINT. Feint అంటారు. 11. PROT dash dash N. The answer is EI. PROTEIN. Protein. 12. TH dash dash R. The answer is EI. THEIR. There. 13. D dash dash D. The answer is IE. DIED. Died. 14. SPEC dash dash S. The answer is IE. SPECIES. Species. 15. GLAC dash dash R. The answer is IE. GLACIER. Glacier, meaning a slowly moving water body in ice form. 16. L dash dash SURE. The answer is EI. LEISURE. Leisure. Punctuation. Semicolon. Before you learn about semicolon, I advise you to revise the punctuation marks that you have learnt in the first semester. In the first semester, you have learnt about capitalization, full stop, commas, exclamation marks and question marks. Kindly brush up the concepts as they would be a great help for you to learn the concepts coming in the second semester. Now, semicolon. A semicolon consists of a full stop on the top and a comma below it. It is a punctuation mark that indicates a pause between two independent clauses. An independent clause is a complete sentence. So, a semicolon is used as a bridge between two complete sentences without using a conjunction. Conjunctions such as fanboys, F for fur, A for end, N for nor, B for but, O for or, S for so, etc. And also conjunctions like if, etc. The two complete sentences must be linked by a common idea, with the first sentence introducing the idea and the second sentence further explaining the idea. Now please understand the difference between a comma and a semicolon. Comma, as learnt in the first semester syllabus, is used to separate words, phrases in a sentence, right? And a comma is also used to separate a non-essential detail in a sentence. And a comma is also used to separate an independent clause with a dependent clause, and so on. Wherein a semicolon separates two complete meaningful sentences. Listen to the examples. 1. We wanted to read 30 pages. This is one sentence. It's a complete meaningful sentence. Kada? We wanted to read 30 pages. Who is the subject here? We. What did we want to do? We wanted to read. So this is a complete meaningful sentence. Now we have another sentence. We only read 12. We wanted to read 30 pages. Sentence number 1. We read only 12. Sentence number 2. Now, in order to join these two sentences, we can use conjunctions such as we wanted to read 30 pages, but we only read 12. Here, but is the conjunction that helped to join the two sentences. In that case, we should punctuate the sentence as we wanted to read 30 pages, comma, but we only read 12, full stop. Now, we want to use a semicolon. Now listen to the same example using a semicolon. We wanted to read 30 pages, semicolon. We only read 12, full stop. Therefore, a semicolon is used in the place of a conjunction, and a semicolon comes between two sentences. Both the sentences are independent clauses. By the way, do you remember the concepts of independent clause, dependent clause? Independent clause also called as main clause. Dependent clause is also called as subordinate clause. Right. An independent clause can exist on its own. It has its own subject and a verb and a complete meaning on its own. It is not dependent on any clause. Whereas a subordinate or a dependent clause depends for the meaning on the independent clause. Right? There are some conjunctions which are used to join independent clauses, and the conjunctions usually come in between the two sentences. Right? So a semicolon is used in the place of a conjunction to join independent clauses only, not dependent clauses sentences. Okay, before we go deep into the concept, let me clear you the difference between a clause and a sentence. Okay? A clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. But a clause can be independent clause or a dependent clause, right? So independent clauses are called sentences. Dependent clause, they have to be dependent on the main clause, that is independent clause. So dependent clause part can't be called a sentence. Only the independent clauses, they have a complete meaning on their own, so they can be called a sentence. So whenever I say independent clause, please consider it as a sentence itself. Alright, now let us learn about semicolons further. Example 2. He needed to see a doctor. Sentence number 1. He hurt himself while playing football. Sentence number 2. Now, how do we join these two sentences? If at all we use a conjunction, the sentences may sound as he needed to see a doctor as he hurt himself while playing football. Here, as is the conjunction that joined the two sentences. Or, he needed to see a doctor for he hurt himself while playing football. In both the cases, we used conjunction in between the two sentences. And therefore, the sentences should be punctuated as 1. He needed to see a doctor, comma, for he hurt himself while playing football, full stop. Or, he needed to see a doctor as he hurt himself while playing football, full stop, directly. Now, we shall join these two sentences using a semicolon instead of a conjunction. Listen carefully further. He needed to see a doctor, semicolon. He hurt himself while playing football, full stop. So there is no conjunction in between, and both the sentences give the same idea of a person consulting a doctor because he was hurt. Example 3. These trousers are ruined. Sentence number 1. Hopefully, your tailor can mend them. Sentence number 2. Now, if we join these two sentences using a conjunction in between, it sounds as these trousers are ruined and hopefully your tailor can mend them. Now, we punctuate that sentence as these trousers are ruined, comma, and hopefully your tailor can mend them, full stop. Here, and end is the conjunction. But now we should use a semicolon. So we have to remove the conjunction in between. And if we use a semicolon to join these two sentences, it sounds as these trousers are ruined, semicolon. Hopefully your tailor can mend them, full stop. Therefore, a semicolon is used as a conjunction between two independent clauses. Instead of using the conjunction words such as and, for, if, but, so, as, etc., we use a semicolon to join two independent clauses. Remember that after a semicolon, the first letter of the first word is written in small letter but not in capital letter. After a full stop, the first letter of the first word is capitalized. But after a semicolon, the letter of the first word that follows is written in small letters only, not capital letter. Let us now understand more about semicolons. Semicolons can also be used in lists only where the items in the list contains commas. They are used to make sure readers do not get confused. Listen to the following examples. 1. I have 4 sisters. 2 in Hyderabad, India. 1 in London, England. And 1 in Paris, France. Well, this sentence is written as I have 4 sisters, full stop. 2 in Hyderabad, comma, India, because Hyderabad is in India, semicolon. 1 in London, comma, England, because London is in England, semicolon. And 1 in Paris, comma, France, because Paris is in France. At the end, it's full stop. If we don't use semicolons, see how messy the sentence becomes. It is so confusing if we don't use the semicolons. Listen carefully how it sounds if we don't use semicolons but keep on using commas for everything. It sounds like this. I have 4 sisters, comma. 2 in Hyderabad, comma, India, comma, 1 in London, comma, England, comma, 1 in Paris, comma, France, full stop. So too many commas. Usually comma separates words in the sentence. Yeah, it is understood. But when there are already commas in the sentence to separate words, and in order to separate words from another words, then we should use semicolons. In the example, Hyderabad, comma, India, instead of saying one sister lives in Hyderabad which is in India, rather than using the expression which is in India, it was directly written as one sister lives in Hyderabad, comma, India. అంటే హైదరాబాద్ కమా ఇండియా అంటే హైదరాబాద్ ఎక్కడ ఇండియాలో ఆర్ ఇండియాలో హైదరాబాద్. వన్ సిస్టర్ లివ్స్ ఇన్ లండన్ కమా ఇంగ్లాండ్ అంటే ఇంగ్లాండ్లో లండన్ అన్న ప్లేస్లో. ఫస్ట్ స్మాలర్ ఏరియా లండన్, ఎక్కడ అది లండన్ ఎక్కడుంది ఇంగ్లాండ్లో. సో దాని రెండింటి మధ్య కామా పెట్టాల్సి వస్తుంది. ఇంకా లాస్ట్కి ఎండ్ 1 ఇన్ ప్యారిస్. ప్యారిస్ ఎక్కడుంది ఎక్కువ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇస్తున్నారు. ప్యారిస్ ఎక్కడ ఫ్రాన్స్లో, ప్యారిస్ కమా ఫ్రాన్స్ ఫుల్ స్టాప్. సో వెన్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఆల్రెడీ కామర్స్ బిట్వీన్ ద వర్డ్స్ అండ్ యూ వాంట్ టు సే అబౌట్ 4 సిస్టర్స్ అంటే కామాలోనే కామా కావాలి. విదిన్ ద సెంటెన్స్ యూ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ కామాస్ టు సపరేట్ ద ప్లేసెస్. And you should also need some punctuation to separate the information about 4 sisters. So, in a sentence, when you already have commas to separate some words, but you still want some punctuation marks to separate another set of words in larger sense, in broader sense, you should use semicolons. Now please listen to the same example with punctuation marks. I hope it is clear by now, but still, listen carefully. I have 4 sisters, 2 dots. This is not a complete sentence. You are going to tell about the details of these 4 sisters. So after sisters, it's 2 dots. 2 in Hyderabad. 2 sisters live in Hyderabad. And where is Hyderabad? Comma, India. It's in India. So I have 4 sisters, 2 dots, 2 in Hyderabad, comma, India, semicolon. Now you're going to talk about the next sister. 1 in London. Where is it? It's in England. So London, comma, England, semicolon. 2 plus 1, 3 sisters gurinchi maatladesam. Now you're talking about the next sister. And 1 in Paris. Where is Paris? Comma, France. France lo undi. Full stop. Example 2. Ramu's favorite types of food are 2 dots. Chicken biryani, comma, not mutton. Chicken biryani, kani mutton kaadu. So the comma conveys chicken biryani, comma, not mutton. మరి ఇంకొక ఫేవరెట్ ఫుడ్ ఏంటి? సో సెమికోలన్, మసాలా దోస సెమికోలన్ అండ్ బటర్ చికెన్ ఫుల్ స్టాప్. సో యూ గాట్ ద టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ ఫుడ్. Example 3. There were 3 people I knew at the art exhibition. 2 dots. Why 2 dots? Because there is something in the sentence yet to come. Every 3 people? Miss John, Taran and Mr. Gopal. 3 people in kalsanu. Okay? Now, Miss John yavaru, Tara yavaru, Mr. Gopal yavaru. So for every person there is an introduction. Okay? So Miss John is actually our class teacher. Tara is my neighbor's daughter. And Mr. Gopal is from a bank. Alright? Now, I should introduce these three people along with their introductions in one sentence. So, I need to use commas and also semicolons. Now, listen carefully where I use a comma and where I use semicolons. This sentence is punctuated as, there were three people I knew at the art exhibition. Two dots. Yavaru? Miss John, comma, our class teacher. So, our class teacher ki mundara comma enduk pettamu? It is talking about Miss John. It is giving additional information about Miss John. Miss John, our class teacher. I should not tell it in one stretch. Miss John, comma, ఎవరైతే మా క్లాస్ టీచరో our class teacher. ఇది ఒక పార్ట్ అయింది. Now, second person. You want to talk about the second person in the same sentence. You have used a comma already. So, don't use comma again and mess up the sentence. Miss John, comma, our class teacher, semicolon. Now, second person. Tara, comma, my neighbor's daughter. So, after comma, after Tara, when you're using a comma, it is giving information about Tara. Tara, comma, my neighbor's daughter. Tara, ఎవరైతే మా neighbor's daughter తన్ని కూడా కలిసాను నేను. ఓకే, సో టూ పీపుల్ అయ్యారు. ఎలా? మిస్ జాన్, comma, our class teacher, semicolon, Tara, comma, my neighbor's daughter, again semicolon, and who is the third person? Mr. Gopal from the bank. Full stop. Mr. Gopal has no definite introduction. So, it's directly Mr. Gopal from the bank. Full stop. So, to conclude the concept of semicolon, semicolon is used between two independent clauses, or which are also called as two meaningful sentences. They are used instead of a conjunction, and after a semicolon, the first letter of the first word is written in small letter but not in capital letter. And semicolons are used in a sentence where commas are also used. In order to avoid too much of confusion between commas and semicolons, commas are used to separate words in smaller sense, and semicolons are used to separate words in broader sense. Exercise 1. Punctuate the following sentences with necessary punctuation marks. There would be either commas, semicolons, exclamations, question marks, full stops, etc. 1. The weather was terrible. It wouldn't stop raining. Full stop. So, we have two sentences here. The weather was terrible, sentence number 1. It wouldn't stop raining, sentence number 2. They share the same common idea. So, you have to separate these two sentences, and please remember there are no conjunctions in between. So, if there is no conjunction, we should use a semicolon, right? So, the answer is, the weather was terrible, semicolon, small I, it wouldn't stop raining, full stop. 2. Her fitness is poor. She will probably not do well in the physical education exam. Full stop. In this sentence, her fitness is poor is considered as sentence number 1. She will probably not do well in the physical education exam is sentence number 2. Do you find any conjunction in between? No. So you have to separate these two sentences using a semicolon. So the answer is, her fitness is poor, semicolon, S small letter only. She will probably not do well in the physical education exam, full stop. 3. Some universities offer scholarships, others do not. Full stop. In this, we have two sentences. Some universities offer scholarships, sentence number 1. Others do not, sentence number 2. Okay? There is no conjunction in between. So we have to separate it with a semicolon. So the answer is, some universities offer scholarships, semicolon, others do not, full stop. 4. Oh, comma, it's such a lovely day. I might go meet my friends at the park, exclamation mark. So, oh, it's such a lovely day is one sentence. I might go meet my friends at the park is sentence number 2. So you should join them. There is no conjunction. You should use a semicolon. So the answer is, oh, comma, it's such a lovely day, semicolon. I might go meet my friends at the park, exclamation mark. 5. We have to stop at the petrol bunk. The car is low on fuel. Full stop. So this sentence has two independent clauses. We have to stop at the petrol bunk is sentence number 1. The car is low on fuel is sentence number 2. Join these two sentences and there is no conjunction, so we should use a semicolon. So how does it sound like? Listen. The answer is, we have to stop at the petrol bunk, semicolon. The car is low on fuel, full stop. Exercise 2. Listen to these punctuated sentences carefully. Determine whether the sentences require or do not require a semicolon. If they do, then identify the semicolon's correct position. If you think a comma has been used incorrectly, then change it to a correct position or change the commas to semicolons if required. So basically these are correction of sentences, alright, with respect to punctuations. Now listen. 1. She went swimming every day while on holiday in Goa. Full stop. Now to this sentence, do you think we need to add a semicolon or a comma or what? If we have to use a semicolon, then there should be two sentences, two independent clauses. Does this sentence have two independent clauses? Listen to it again. She went swimming every day while on holiday in Goa. If we have to call a clause as independent clause, then it should have its own subject and a verb. I understand that, see, she went swimming every day. Sentence number 1. Very good. Ida ardhamaindi. She went swimming every day. Complete meaning. Kani, see the second part. While on holiday in Goa, is it a complete meaningful clause? No. Where is the subject? Where is the verb? So, while on holiday in Goa is a dependent clause, not an independent clause. Semicolons are used to join independent clauses only. But here is one is independent and one is dependent. So, use of semicolon is ruled out completely. Kada mana semicolon vaadalem ikkada asalu. Mari em vaadali, comma vaadala? Chuddam. She went swimming every day while on holiday in Goa. Now, if you recall the concept of using commas from the first semester syllabus, we have learned something like main clause, subordinate clause. Alright? If a sentence begins with the main clause, that is independent clause, then we needn't place any comma to separate it from the dependent clause that follows. If a sentence begins with dependent clause, then we should place a comma after it to separate that from independent clause. So this sentence is beginning with independent clause and then the dependent clause followed. She went swimming every day is independent clause. While on holiday in Goa is dependent clause. So sentence first independent clause to start ayindi kabatti comma pettalsina avasaram ledhu. It's a plain sentence. She went swimming every day while on holiday in Goa. Full stop. If the sentence began the other way, ante dependent clause first vachi next independent clause vaste, see how it sounds. While on holiday in Goa, she went swimming every day. So, when dependent clause comes at the beginning of a sentence, then the independent clause follows, then we should place a comma between the two. So, that sentence, while on a holiday in Goa, comma, she went swimming every day. Full stop. Alright? Have you understood? Well, so here the sentence which is given in the exercise is she went swimming every day while on holiday in Goa, full stop, is actually a correct sentence. There is no punctuation that has to be added to this sentence. Convinced? Alright. 2. He is not from Hyderabad, he is from Bangalore. Full stop. He is not from Hyderabad is sentence number 1. He is from Bangalore is sentence number 2. Both are independent clauses. And there is no conjunction in between. So what should we do? Which punctuation mark should we place to separate the two independent clauses? Yes, a semicolon. So the answer is, he is not from Hyderabad, semicolon, he is from Bangalore, full stop. H in Hyderabad is capitalized, B in Bangalore is capitalized. 3. I want to go to the library, comma, but I think it might be closed today, full stop. So these are two sentences. I want to go to the library is sentence number 1. I think it might be closed today, sentence number 2. Alright. And we have the conjunction in between, but. And there is also a comma before the conjunction. So all together, this is a correct sentence. There are no errors in this sentence. I want to go to the library, comma, but I think it might be closed today, full stop. So it's correct. No errors. 4. Are you okay traveling by bus, comma, or do you want to travel by train? Question mark. Now tell me, does this sentence require a semicolon? Or is there any problem with the conjunction in between or? Or is there any problem with the comma before the conjunction? See, are you okay traveling by bus is one sentence. Do you want to travel by train is sentence number 2. Okay? And these two sentences, independent clauses, are joined by the conjunction or. Very good. And there is also a comma before or before the conjunction. Very good. And there is a question mark at the end. Very, very good. So there are no errors in this sentence. It's absolutely fine. Listen to it again. Are you okay traveling by bus, comma, or do you want to travel by train? Question mark. So there is no use of a semicolon here. 5. All of the art supplies are in that cabinet, comma, we only take them out during art class, full stop. Now tell me, is the comma in between a valid position of a comma? Or should we place a semicolon instead of a comma? Listen to it again. All of the art supplies are in that cabinet is sentence number 1. We only take them out during art classes is sentence number 2. Both are meaningful, complete meaningful sentences. Matlab, they both are independent clauses. And do you see any conjunction in between? No. So how do you join the two independent clauses without a conjunction? You should use a semicolon, right? But here you are given a comma. That is the mistake in this sentence. So the answer should be all of the art supplies are in that cabinet, semicolon. We only take them out during art class, full stop. Conversation. Asking for information.
At some point in an academic or work environment, you may find yourself struggling to understand how to complete a task. This may be due to a number of reasons, including being unfamiliar with equipment, not receiving proper training, or simply not knowing where things are kept. In such situations, the best thing to do is to ask someone for help or information. Just as a student raises his or her hand to ask the teacher a question, you must remember to be polite and courteous when approaching someone for help. Listed below are a few sample sentences with questions you could ask when seeking assistance.
1. Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but can you help me with this? It just won't open. 2. Pardon me, I was wondering if you could tell me the way to meeting room 4. 3. Hello, do you know how to use this program? I'm afraid I have never used it before and I'm finding it quite difficult to operate. 4. Hi, have you any idea what the time is?
5 o'clock.
Oh, thanks. 5. Please excuse me. I suppose I don't know how to turn this machine off. I'd really appreciate your help. 6. Thank you for coming, everyone. I'm sorry to interrupt, but can anyone tell me where Amrit is? 7. Sir, do you know who has the keys to this room? 8. Madam, are you busy? I just wanted to ask you a few questions about the report and its deadline.
Reading passage. Hyderabad, the heart of Telangana.
The city of Hyderabad is located in the heart of Telangana. It is the twin city to Secunderabad and contains major tourist attractions such as Golconda Fort, Charminar, Qutub Shahi Tombs, Chaumala Palace, Salarjung Museum and Nehru Zoological Park. Recent studies indicate it has a population of 6.7 million. Once called the City of Pearls, the bustling metropolis of Hyderabad has a rich history beginning when it was first founded in 1591 by Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah of the Qutub Shahi dynasty. In 1724, Mir Kamar ud-Din Siddiqui of Azabjahi dynasty was granted the title of Nizam ul Mulk, administrator of the Hyderabad region. He was the first of 7 Nizams to rule over Hyderabad for a period that lasted approximately 2.5 centuries. The city flourished under their reign, growing economically and culturally, as the Nizams were great supporters of literature, art, architecture and food. In 1947, when India gained its independence, the Nizam of Hyderabad declared his intention of making Hyderabad a separate independent territory, either by gaining dominion status from the British Empire or by sovereign rule. However, the newly established Indian government acted swiftly, initiating an operation code named Operation Polo, in which the Indian Army moved into the state of Hyderabad on 16 September 1948 in an attempt to contain and combat the Nizam's army. 5 days later, the Nizam's army surrendered. The Nizam signed the Instrument of Accession, merging the state of Hyderabad into the Indian Union. Over time, the state of Hyderabad was dissolved as a part of the linguistic reorganization of Indian states, and Andhra Pradesh was formed. On 2nd June 2014, following a movement for separation, Telangana was awarded its own state and Hyderabad was declared the state capital.
Writing. Note making. Making notes while listening to a lecture or while reading an article or a book is not only a very useful study skill but is also one that will help you at work. Besides helping you remember what you read or heard some time ago, making notes will enable you to organize your own thoughts better. This is because while making notes, you will be considering the importance of the different points in the matter you are reading or listening to and drawing your own conclusions about them. Necessary skills for effective note making are 1. Ability to read attentively. 2. Ability to comprehend, that is, to understand what is read. 3. Ability to distinguish between important and unimportant ideas. Characteristic features of effective note making are 1. Usually written in the form of points. 2. May also be written in the form of tables, charts, and diagrams. 3. Lists all that is essential. Guidelines on making notes are 1. When making notes, take down the main or important points. You can do this by looking for special words that introduce new information or by picking up signals received from the speaker's tone. 2. Use a clear layout with interline spaces, subheads, bullets, etc. so that you will understand the notes better. 4. Organize your notes so that they reflect how the ideas were connected in the original text. 5. Write down important points that you identify in short forms or using words, phrases, and abbreviations. Underline important points and important words. You can either use common symbols and abbreviations such as E.G. instead of example, etc. instead of etc. and YR instead of the word year, YEAR. Or create your own abbreviations and short forms such as ENGG for engineering and TECH instead of the word technology. It saves both time and space if you make such short forms and abbreviations. 5. Drop all articles, prepositions, conjunctions, and pronouns unless they are necessary in order to understand the notes. Use dashes to link ideas. M dashes. 6. Use diagrams and tables in your notes to summarize information and present it in a condensed form. One can take notes quickly by using abbreviations. Some common abbreviations are listed. Plus symbol indicates AND end or addition. Equal to symbol indicates equals or in the same as or result in. Greater than and lesser than symbols indicate something leads to or produces or cause. A question mark indicates uncertainty, possibility, and unproven. INFO is a short form of the word information. ESP is the short form of the word especially. ETC is the short form to say and so on. I.E. is the short form to say that is. IMP is the short form to say important. VS means against. W and slash means with. WITH, the preposition with. W/O means without. DIFF means difference. DEV means development. CONTD means continued. CONC means conclusion. BTWN or B/W means between. ARGU is a short form of argument. APPROX is a short form of approximately. Well, in examination, a paragraph will be given to you and you will be asked to make notes out of it. Okay? First of all, understand the passage. What is it about? Then think of a title to your notes. Write the title in the center of the page and then make the paragraph into points. And please remember, use only important words and the important pieces of information to make your notes. Not every word or every sentence would be important, right? So point wise, point number 1, what is that information? And if you have sub points, write the sub points under the main point towards the right side, a little towards right from the margin. And again towards the margin, the second point, third point. If you have sub points, again kindakochesi koncham right side nunchi malli sub points రాయడం మొదలు పెట్టాలి. So entire paragraph will be converted into points. మీరు చూడండి, ఒక పారాగ్రాఫ్ చదవడం కంటే దాన్ని విరక్కొట్టుకుని చిన్న చిన్న పాయింట్స్లో గుర్తుపెట్టుకుంటే వి రిమెంబర్ ఇట్, వి మెమరైజ్ ఇట్ బెటర్ కదా. సో నోట్ మేకింగ్ యొక్క పర్పసే అది. And there is another way to make notes, that is mind mapping. This is done in a drawing form. You should write the central idea in the center and then draw branches to it. Suppose I give you the topic or my passage is about family. Okay? So write the word family and encircle it. ఇప్పుడు ఆ ప్యాసేజ్లో దేని గురించి మాట్లాడాను? ఫ్యామిలీ, ఫాదర్ గురించి, మదర్ గురించి, ఆర్ ద మెంబర్స్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్యామిలీ. ఓకే, సో మధ్యలో ఫ్యామిలీ అని రాసి ఇప్పుడు దీనికి బ్రాంచెస్ ఇవ్వాలి. ఏదైతే ఒక చెట్టుకి బ్రాంచెస్ ఉంటాయో అలాగా ఈ మైండ్ మ్యాపింగ్కి కూడా బ్రాంచెస్ ఉంటాయి. నా ఫస్ట్ బ్రాంచ్ ఫాదర్ అని రాసి ఫాదర్ గురించి ఏమేమి ఆ ప్యాసేజ్లో మాట్లాడానో చిన్న చిన్న వర్డ్స్గా మళ్ళీ సబ్ బ్రాంచెస్, మళ్ళీ నెక్స్ట్ బ్రాంచ్ మదర్ గురించి నెక్స్ట్ మళ్ళీ సబ్ బ్రాంచెస్. So the entire content in the paragraph is understood and made into smaller chunks as in the form of a diagram or in the form of points or in the form of tables or charts. Soft skills. Time management.
Whether we know it or not, our lives are dictated by time management, either arranged by ourselves or by others. Consider, for example, how a typical day is structured around 3 meals or working from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening. Time management extends beyond daily activities to years portioned off into seasons which may determine what we wear and where we travel, or financial years that range from beginning of April to the end of March. Time is constantly being divided both in our professional and our private lives. For many individuals, the most efficient way to keep track of time is by having a daily, weekly, or annual schedule. Some people use a planner to keep track of events in their day, while others use a calendar to plan in advance. This is a matter of preference. A schedule may take into account all the factors of a person's life, be it work deadlines, family commitments, reunions with friends, or company meetings. Competently managing your private and professional obligations can maximize your efficiency and lead to a less stressful life. If you use a schedule to plan your time, then your schedule should try to take into consideration the nature of the tasks to be completed as well as variables that can influence your work output. This means you must consider when the work needs to be completed, how important the work is, and how long it will take to complete, while taking into account unforeseen circumstances. This can help prioritize projects.
Value orientation. As you have learnt in the first semester, the section of value orientation enlightens us with a proverb or a saying. Proverb means Sametelu in Telugu, Muhavre in Hindi. In this lesson, we will learn about the proverb, time and tide wait for no one. The expression time and tide wait for no one emphasizes the idea that since people are incapable of stopping or slowing the passage of time, it makes sense they should use their time wisely to prioritize those tasks which are more important to them. In a situation that discusses the concept of time management, this is a particularly relevant expression. Opportunities do not always come by, and missing one opportunity might mean never getting the same chance again. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, former President of India, is credited with saying, "If you want to leave your footprints on the sands of time, do not drag your feet." The famous Roman Catholic nun and missionary Mother Teresa said, "Yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not come yet. We have only today. Let us begin." Both the sayings emphasize the idea that time is valuable and should not be wasted. This saying in Telugu can be understood as Deepam undagane illu chakkapeట్టుకోవాలి. In Hindi, it means
समय किसी की प्रतीक्षा नहीं करता। इसके बारे में रहीम ने कहा, काल करे सो आज करे सो अब, पल में परलय होएगी, बाहुरी करेगा कब।
one can use time constructively to meet professional and personal goals, or one can waste it by procrastinating, that is, postponing things and doing something unproductive. In the world of business, prioritizing entrepreneurs understand the importance of this statement. Steve Jobs, the co-founder and former CEO of Apple, used to say, "Your time is limited, so do not waste it living someone else's life." No matter what, time will proceed. If you remember the poem A Psalm of Life by Longfellow that you have learnt in the first semester also throws light on time. Time is limited, but we have a lot of work to do. So, prioritize your tasks and learn to manage time wisely. End of chapter 5.